Hello everyone, my name is Charles Powell, and over the course of this semester I did my research on race and age differences in the social class. So my presentation today is going to focus on social class in the United States. So with social class in the United States, we're going to focus on the word stratification. You might often wonder what social stratification is. Here's a picture of three different social classes in the U.S. today. Then, of course, there's a picture of the Titanic. You're probably wondering why I have a picture of the Titanic. I'm going to get to that in just a few minutes. Again, the three pictures of the social classes in the U.S. And I'm going to get right into social stratification. Social stratification is a system by which a society ranks categories of people in a hierarchy. So with that being said, there are four basic principles of stratification. Firstly, we're going to talk about social stratification is a trait of society and not simply a reflection of an individual's differences. So my talking points on that would be social standing is not a talent or effort related, and how we exaggerate the extent to which we have to control our own fate, and how some people are born into wealth and some are born into poverty. The Titanic is a great example of that first point. Social stratification carries over from generation to generation. However, most societies allow for some social mobility. A change in the position within the hierarchy, that's what social mobility is. Social mobility can be upward, downward, or horizontal. Third, social stratification is universal but not variable. Every society is different, be it prestige, wealthy, power, rich, or poor. Some societies have more inequalities than others. And lastly, social stratification involves not just inequality, but benefits as well. An explanation of why people should be unequal differs from society to society. So, from that, we got two different systems. We got a caste system and a class system. I want to explain to you what a caste system is first. Social stratification based on ascription or birth. So that's what a caste is. Like a caste would involve more of a closed system, which is little social mobility, like I said before. Caste systems shape people's lives four different ways. They help largely determine an occupation. They usually mandate marriage within a social class, and they limit out-group social contacts, and have very, very powerful social and cultural beliefs. A class system is a social stratification based on both birth and individual achievement, which is a more open system, which equals you for more social mobility. It's typically in industrialized societies. Now, dimensions of social inequality. The U.S. is highly stratified, but we underestimate the extent of inequality in the U.S. because, in principle, everyone is equal under the law. 2, our culture celebrates individuality and achievement. 3, we interact with people like ourselves. And the U.S. is very affluent. The U.S. is very, very wealthy. So there's a few things that help us to draw these conclusions. Income, wealth, power, prestige, and education. So as we get into income, income is earning for one's works or investments. U.S. has more income inequality than any other industrial society. What does that mean? Well, put up this chart for you guys. It says that 80% of Americans share only 70% of all the money in America. This is a pie chart that splits up the wealth in America, and you see that 7% is really nothing on that pie chart. This is not what a democracy looks like to me. And then we got wealth. It consists of a total amount of money and other assets minus outstanding debts. What are examples of assets? Well, assets are distributed even less equally than income in the U.S. Here's another chart that on the left it says what you own, which are assets, and what you owe, which are liabilities. As you can see, there are a lot more things on the liability side because they're liabilities until you own them, then they become assets. Then we got power, also unequally distributed. Some sociologists would agree that concentrated wealth weakens democracy because the political system serves the interests of the super rich. And then we got prestige. We vie with each other's greater we evaluate each other and give greater respect to those who we believe to have important jobs in the U.S. And then we give less respect to others with the most modest jobs. Here's a chart of white collar occupations, the prestige score, blue collar occupations, and then on the right hand side we have white collar occupations, prestige score, and we have the blue collar occupations. This list is here, but as you can see that this list it doesn't make sense to me, because those bottom level jobs create those bigger jobs. Education, which is also not equal. In 2004, 85% of men and women in the U.S. completed high school. Only 28 graduated college. The best college jobs require a degree. Therefore, most blue-collar jobs, which have lower income and less prestige, require less schooling. U.S. stratification, merit, and caste. While the U.S. is a class system where social class is affected and talent and effort, it also has caste elements that we are born in and play a part in what we become later on in our lives. Got a couple of different things that stem from that: ancestry, race and ethnicity. We got gender. Getting into ancestry, which is basically our family is our point of entry into our social system. It has a strong importance on schooling, occupation, and income. 1/3 of individuals making over hundreds of millions in wealth acquired their fortunes in the form of an inheritance. So that just shows that that the rich is passed down typically. Race and ethnicity. Race is closely linked with social position in the U.S. White people receive more schooling than African Americans and have a higher occupational standing. Here's a picture of a little bit of the non-traditional African American family, and then there's some facts to back that up. Median incomes in 2004. African American average family household makes about $35,000 a year, while the white non-Hispanic family makes about $60,000 a year. African Americans make about 58% of what white families make in a year. And then we got gender. On average, women have less income, wealth, and occupational prestige than men. Here are some facts that you determine your stance. Here's a chart that basically states that for every 77 cents, for every dollar a woman makes 77 cents. As you can see, way back in the day, those numbers the gap was very large in between there. As we get on to the later years, you can see the gap is starting to close, but there's still some type of inequality and a difference there. Then we got another chart here that's pretty much saying the same thing and just giving you more facts on it. I just want to sort of paint a picture in you guys' head to let you better understand that. Social class in the United States. Does anyone know how many social classes we have here in the United States? Well, in the beginning, of course, I showed 3 because those are the 3 that we seem to ponder upon. But there's actually 4. We got upper class, middle class, working class, and we got lower class. Upper class. 5% of the populations earn at least $170,000 a year. Some it's 10 times more than that, which would get you on the Forbes list. Historically, the upper class has been composed of what are called WASP, which are white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, which is 5% of the population. Upper class, which is less than 1% of that 5%, almost always inherited their wealth. And then we got the lower upper class, the working rich, obtain wealth from earnings rather than inheritance. Then we got the middle class. It includes 40 to 45% of the U.S. population and has a tremendous influence on our culture, TVs, movies, commercials, advertising, racial and ethnic diversity. Upper middle class, which is has above average household income from $80,000 to $170,000 a year. And then we got the average middle class, which are typically work in less prestigious and white collar occupations or highly skilled blue collar jobs, which the household income would be $40,000 to $80,000 a year. So as you can see, there's 3 different classes in that class. And then we got the working class. We got which is roughly 1/3 of the population. It's sometimes called the lower middle class. Maybe that's why they didn't give it that a name. Blue collar jobs yield household incomes of $25,000 to $45,000 a year. or which is happens to make them more vulnerable to financial problems caused by unemployment or illness. Most jobs offer few benefits such as medical insurance and pension plans. College is a reality for only about 1/3 of the working class children. And then we got the lower class. Remaining 20% of the population, half manage to complete high school, 1 in 4 reach college. Low incomes make their lives unsustainable and insecure. Households' incomes less than $25,000 a year. So, as my speech has come to an end, I talked to you about race and age, differences, inequalities. I talked to you about, I introduced you 3 different working class, social classes in the U.S., but there's actually 4. I talked to you about each class within those 4, and I pretty much got down to the differences in age and race, as well as gender and social class. And like I said before, my paper stemmed on the same exact thing. I talked more about race and age because it was more relatable, but in my presentation, I wanted to make it well-rounded. Thanks for listening. I hope everyone enjoyed.